Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to some of you, and peace out to the rest of you. Black heart, black mind, black end. Again, hit the share button because the message is more important than the messenger. Seeing mediocre tutorial and reviews post in the community tab in which a Muslim husband described his situation got me to thinking. I imagine that he's an African American and he married a woman from Jordan, and he said she comes from money, and right now they're struggling, and his side hustle also failed. So his account is now minus 200 because he paid a cable bill and he found out that she's sitting on 97 grand. Now that begs a question. So I'm going to ask this question of him. I'm going to ask this question of anybody else in that situation, something similar. How would you find this out if she didn't want you to know? That's the first thing. But Islamically speaking, her money is hers. His money is theirs. It is on him, Islamically speaking, to take care of the family financially. This is not on her. She can, if she chooses to. She has the ability and she chooses to try. She chooses to make that effort. She's allowed to do so. And it's seen as a charity and a good deed. But she does not have to. This is not a requirement. Not by a long shot. So I'll tell you this. She said to him, look, you're the husband, you're the man of the house, you figure this out. She wasn't wrong, and a lot of people chimed in, but Islamically speaking, there are rules to this. She has the option to do so. She does not have the obligation. However, if he is taking care of all of these things and she's sitting on her money, then that means that he is the boss because he's paying the cost. And he has every right to say, okay, cable is out. We're going to live where I can afford at this point. We're not buying anything new that is a luxury item. Everything that we buy is going to be a necessity or something that can make more money. This is it. He may even say to her, listen, you may be good in your situation, and I'm glad you are. See, a Muslim husband that knows the rules will go to his wife and say, listen, you good, and I'm glad you are. I know you're good, and I hope you stay good. I hope you stay in a position that is that good. By the same token, I'm not. So you can get anything that you want to get for yourself, and you can do it even in front of me. And I'm okay with that. So if there's anything that you wanted to get for yourself and it's nice and you like it, you go ahead and you get it. And if you didn't want to, then you don't. But it's yours. I'm aware of it. And I don't want you to see something while we're out together that you like and want for yourself and then not get it because you think I'll feel some kind of way about it. You're allowed to. It's your money. And even in the position that I'm in now, it's your money. But forgive and overlook what I'm not going to be spending on. And I'm cutting off the cable because I got to. That's going to be a good start. Now, how she reacts after that, that's going to tell him everything. Already, she didn't tell him about the money, but somehow she let him find out the money that she has. And it's good she's got it. I just wanted to be fair to both parties in this, seeing as they're Muslims. I want to say something to the lady that responded to him. Her something like just the goat. I think that's her name, or Jasmine out of the goat. I want to say something to you, sister. You said to him, how dare you embarrass her like that? Just go and talk to her. The thing is, she hid but didn't hide the money. She either tried unsuccessfully, which is what it looks like on the surface, or knowing what I know, she hid but didn't hide the money. I don't know what to make of either one, really. I mean, in any case, in either case, let me just remind you that she hid. She didn't outright tell him, listen, this is what I got and I'm good. So you can focus on getting yourself in a good position. That's what she could have said to him. But the thing is, I'm not sure how much this man knows. Just to be fair, I don't know how much he knows about the rules. I'm not sure, because a lot of us don't really know. But the other thing too is, if you were concerned about the religion when it concerns the rights of men and women, you would not be taking the name the GOAT. Because if you're Muslim, you already know. Either one, you ain't supposed to be calling yourself a GOAT unless you're referring to your stubbornness. You might be able to get a pass if you were to simply say, oh, I'm a GOAT. I'm hard-headed. And that's a confession. But just like making that part of your title, the GOAT, either you calling yourself an animal as a permanent title, which we Muslims are not supposed to be doing, unless maybe it's a compliment. I'll let people call me a gorilla because I actually do behave like one. And frankly, I know things about gorillas that make it a compliment when you call me one. But that's a different story. But just referring to yourself as a GOAT, that's not, it's not a nice thing to do to yourself. And we Muslims are not supposed to do that either. Or you meant the acronym greatest of all time. And we already know that is a title that belongs to nobody but the Lord. Now, if you were to say greatest basketball player of all time, greatest something specific of all time, then it would depend on what you were specifying. But just greatest of all time, we Muslims already understand is that is something that only belongs to the Lord. I mean, we should know that right off the bat. Greatest of all time. Who is ever at any point going to be equal to Allah, let alone greater than him? And you're going to sit up here with your very human self, with all your flaws that you know you got and the ones we don't know about, that the Lord still knows, to whom, the same Lord to whom you put your forehead to the ground 5 times a day at a minimum, and you're going to say, you're going to compare yourself to him. That's where the real offense goes. Undermining the rights of God pave the way for other real serious sins. That actually goes beyond it actually goes beyond what he did. Because he may not know what the rules are. He may not know that actually Islam, because she's not required to spend on him. She can, but she's not required. And if he knows about it, he's allowed to say, well, I'm leaving her for this reason. She didn't violate the rules, but I see who she is. But you took something, a description of God, that is understood by all of us, by the lay Muslim, from our very nature. This means a kid gets this and violated it. And shortly after I saw that, Abdullah bin Babi Tayyib told me about a link, or told me about a show, a live show, it might still be going on now, where Abu American is talking to somebody about the red pill and feminism in Muslim countries. Shout out to Abdullah bin Babi. Thank you, blood. I'm going to say this to the Muslims. We do not need two things, feminism and chauvinism. God is already, that's why he is the greatest of all time. He's already fair. Before we got to this point, 1400 years back, he already revealed the rights of both genders and the responsibilities of both, and they are trade-offs. We don't need to go and do nothing else except sort out specific situations, but we don't need to go adding to the rules, adding to what he revealed or taking away from it. So if the husband knew these rules, then he's wrong, his attitude is wrong. If he didn't know these rules, he just needs to be told so he'll know. The wife, on the other hand, didn't necessarily violate the rules, but she did show him that when times do get hard, She's only going to be there to a certain extent. Now, what I would say is this: if she's not draining his nuts, because look, one of the rights of both spouses is that. Bending over the couch when he says so, or obeying him is with regard to certain lifestyle changes that may be needed so that they can get back on their feet and save, and even get ahead, saving for the next rainy day. If she disobeys him in this, then she is wrong. She ain't got to spend her money on him, fair enough. She ain't got to. But she got to obey him. Especially since she said, you got to pay the cost. Okay, that means he is the boss. And the rest of it, what we don't know, really ain't our business. I mean, he put the business out there. I wouldn't have done that, not in a public manner. That's where he was wrong, definitely. Certainly was wrong for that. His attitude may be wrong. It actually is, but he may not know what the rules are. I'm not sure. I hope so, but I don't know. But putting putting their personal business out there like that, yeah, unless of course he was using an alias, in which case that wasn't wrong. Now, let me move on to something else right quick. And that's going to be black folks using social media. Right now, in the politically charged climate of the United States where y'all are, I want y'all to keep this in mind. Apparently, Facebook is being sued because of its censorship policies. And apparently, the company that Facebook hired to do the censoring for them is openly biased, politically speaking. So, pro-black or black leftist or just people that are not with that right-wing white BS get silenced and censored. So what that pretty much means is white nationalists who threaten violence if Trump doesn't win don't get censored. And they don't get reported either. But black folks who stand up to such are getting censored and reported. This is a great time for black people to go on to blackjunction.com and also to melanatedpeople.com. Now, there's another app, I think it's called the Cookout Online. It's a social, let's just say it's social media, black social media. But the Cookout is run largely by sisters. That's not wrong. But what they say is, we're not going to tolerate any misogyny. Okay, I don't hate women. Then they didn't say any. They said nothing about misandry. Excuse me, man, fit the guck out of here. Now, for melanated people and for the Cookout, you go through an application process. It's got to be approved, and that's cool. Black Junction, you don't necessarily have to go through an application process and be approved, but the good thing is that a lot of people don't know about it. So this means that those of us, if you really do have any sort of pro-black leanings and you mean it, then you can go into Black Junction. I would hope you do. I'm just saying that we got options for black social media. And I think that we should, with these options, I believe that we should start to exercise them now. And don't just exercise the options. Get enough people on these other ones, and then in a year and a half, 18 months from now, we all go into Facebook and we just close it down. Matter of fact, you know what? Screw that. Why wait 18 months? We should do this in 6 weeks. A week after the elections, whatever the results are, we go into Facebook, close the accounts. All these black folks' accounts just gone. Done. We should do what we can to stay in touch with people through Black Junction or whichever one you take. Now, melanated people may be good. The Cookout, I doubt it. I will not be able, and I am on blackjunction.com. I'm there under Blackheart. Maybe I need to change it to Black Mind, but I'm there under Blackheart. But I'm not going to be able to go in to melanated people nor the Cookout, because with the application process, it's okay for the most part. But the thing is, you have to put your personal information to be approved. So that means you don't have the same anonymity you would have with Facebook. And that could be a good and a bad thing. The other thing too is that I wouldn't be approved based on my photograph itself. Unless someone I know knows me, I would not be approved. Blackheart is not going to be approved. Nobody, or Black Mind, nobody's going to approve that. And I'm not sending a photograph of myself with that name. So, because your racial identity has to be confirmed. And this is a good thing. At this point, it is. But to some who would say, well, look, Black Mind, don't you think that that's, biased against you and you should be offended by that? Not necessarily. I mean, it's somewhat biased, but it's a reactionary bias. The fault of that bias lies, again, with massa. This is just reactionary. Now, if it's true that the cookout is trying to filter out black men that'll stand up to black feminism or any kind of feminism, then I would say, yeah, their bias is wrong, absolutely wrong. Because black men have never been part of the problem. And people really can look back in history and see this. Unfortunately, there are a lot of black folks who do think that lighter-skinned black folks, even in the United States, have always been part of the problem, when in fact, in the U.S., as I've said before, we've not been. That has not been the case. It's just that because it was like that in other countries, it's easy to get a lot of us nowadays to think that we were no different. So I understand people's misconception, although I will correct it when it comes up. I do understand why they have this misconception. This willingness of many to finally weed out ambiguous or doubtful looking people like myself, I get it. And truth be told, that's not going to be held against a lot of sisters. That's more so going to be held against brothers. But anyway, there's still Black Junction right now, and there may be some others I don't know about. I'm under there. I never changed from Blackheart to Black Mind, but I might do that within the next few hours, inshallah. But the point is that we are going to need some spaces where we black folks can talk about certain things, and we can talk bad about white society and its civilizations and get the F away with it. Now, there's no foolproof method for this. I mean, you're going to be monitored, and if they can find out who you are, you're going to be whitelisted and whiteballed, and I said it that way intentionally. But at the very least, you won't find yourself cut off from being able to communicate with people because of this. I am glad to see that there's some places where if you are white, you can't get in. And if you ain't black, you can't get in. I'm glad to see that. It's just unfortunate that I wouldn't be recognizable in this case, but that's not their fault and it's not mine. Spaces like this are still needed. Thank you for listening. Black Heart, Black Mind, Black Out. Assalamu alaikum, and black heterosexual non-select so-called beta male power just because they don't like it.